Actually, I think we're live.
Okay, we're live.
Okay, I think we're live. Yep, looks like we're live right now. Here we are, Mark Schulz here with Digital Aircraft, and I'm here at the Aircraft Commerce Show down in Miami for Aircraft IT. And I'm here with Thanos Caparodonis. Oh, I butchered that, didn't I? Thanos.
Well, yeah, Caparodonis, but in the industry, I'm just known as Thanos.
Thanos, right, okay. And Thanos is the CEO of Aerosoft. And how long have you been with Aerosoft today?
Well, let me see. I founded in '97.
1997. All right. Okay. Awesome. Well, hey, we're down here at the show, and as you can imagine, things are a little bit light. There's not a lot of people here at the show, but we think there's a decent attendance, and so we had a little bit of a break, and we thought it would be a good opportunity for us to talk about some of the business problems that the industry has surrounding digital data. And so, if you're not familiar with the Aircraft Commerce Show, really vendors gather, and airlines and MROs and different people that are interested in aircraft IT gather to learn more about how they can implement digital transformation within the aircraft industry. And one very, very important part of that is really the content. I mean, how can we have digital without having content, right? And one thing that Aerosoft provides is content. And so I want to take a bit of your time and expertise, Thanos, to be able to talk a bit about that. So you and I had a discussion in the past about really over time, how are things changed as far as the availability of data, to people in the industry to be able to have digital transformation. So can you tell me a little bit about what you've seen happen over time with the availability of data?
When I got into the industry in 1997, basically we had MRO systems, and the manufacturers were building systems to distribute digital content to their airline customers. So that's how I ended up as an IT person in this industry. And classical MRO systems and even all MRO systems today were built to manage what I call the parts, stalls, and people and aircraft configurations. And they're built in SQL databases and modern languages and so on and so forth. But essentially, and then continue revising that data as the aircrafts fly and as you move components around and so on within the application. And back, let's say, in the late 90s, the classic way of getting work done at an MRO or at an airline for maintenance was generate the information that the mechanics need to accomplish at a summary level. That summary level, the work package would have references to typically ATA 100 based page blocks or IPC figures or wiring diagram sheets. And it would be a tally sheet essentially on the front. And you would go and photocopy ATA 100 paper, stacks and stacks of it. And they would become essentially the job cards that would get executed on the floor. They would be signed on with greasy fingers and so on.
Yeah.
And then you would take that package back to the MRO application and go to the database screens and sign off compliance. And that's how you prove that you remain in compliance.
So we had data you're saying was put together at a very high summary level, and so people were using paper at that time. And so things have transitioned some in the industry. Unfortunately, the airline industry remains behind in digital transformation. But many people have gone from paper into like PDF formats, right? Yeah. And so, but that's really not what we're talking about, right? So as we're moving forward into what the current day is, people are moving from paper into PDF. And how is that different than where they need to go forward? So what's happening today right now with people trying to move into digital?
Historically, I've been very unkind to PDF because essentially PDF is what I call digital paper, and I think it's well recognized for its limitations. Fortunately or unfortunately, it has been exceptionally pervasive and successful everywhere. So airlines, first of all, there are aircraft that are still produced only with PDF content as its maintenance manuals. That's number one issue. Number two, over the years, airlines have gone into authoring their own content, whether it be authoring their own cards or their own supplementary content for or amendments and so on. And they typically author them in applications like Word or FrameMaker, and they generate PDF art, which is very convenient, and they embed it against the content that comes from the manufacturers.
Yeah, so they're authoring documents, and what's the main reason that people are authoring documents into the OEM? So you have the OEM manufacturer's information, right? And they're authoring changes. Why are they authoring changes?
Well, for various reasons. Very often they find content that is really incorrect in the OEM manuals relative to what the aircraft represents. And while they can issue a manual change request to the OEM, that may take too long. So what they do in the interim is they create an amendment for the short term until the OEM will issue them a revision. Job card authoring. Job card authoring is very, very unique in each airline. I mean, they have very particular ways of taking OEM content and then transforming it into the way they want to perform the cards themselves. Even there are manufacturers that issue the maintenance task card manual, and even then, airlines take that content and change it dramatically into the job card that they actually use within the work packages.
Right, and they're doing that in order to be able to customize it to their operation. So
correct. They have unique business processes on one hand. On the other hand, when an OEM issues an MTCM, each job card is authored as if that's the only thing you're going to do. You're going to go to chapter 25, 12, 13, and you're going to do one task. That never happens in the industry. In the industry, you have entire departments that optimize the execution of maintenance from the planning to the delivery to the production level. And they package the work packages in the most efficient possible way.
Yeah.
So when they do that, they, in some cases, ensure that it's the same area of the aircraft you work on, or for other reasons, you may want to work at different areas of the aircraft, not to conflict with each other. And each card, for example, would say, open this panel and execute these steps and do these calibrations and close this panel. Well, what you do is you put a package together that includes 6 or 10 tasks that involve this one panel. So you would create one job card at the beginning that says, open this panel. Then you create the 6 tasks without opening the panel, removing that step, and then have one card that says, close this panel. And typically what they do is they create a open these panels job card, do these tasks, and then go and close these panels. And in between have the inspector sign off and so on. So that's just a small example of customization.
But they're optimizing. Yeah, they're optimizing for their operation to be able to make the maintenance that they're performing really match their operation. Now, you've talked about digital data and how having digital data at more granular levels is more advantageous to that optimization. Now, how does having structured digital data really help you to accomplish this optimization you were talking about?
Yeah, well, when you go traditionally, PDF, for example, is large, and even when it's shipped in sort of structured form, it has substantial challenges, both in terms of introducing airline-specific content into it. It has challenges in being displayed in mobility platforms. And in particular, because of its volume and large chunks, it has trouble in being communicated to devices over networks. Yeah. Not all networks have the high bandwidth we are accustomed to in our workplaces and let's say, in our businesses and homes even. There are places in hangars that have very low bandwidths, and sometimes with the mechanics working inside the aircraft, they even have further limitations of receiving signals. Right? So you require, first of all, an efficient form of moving the data to and from either a browser or a mobility device. That's one thing. But structured data allows you to also update it with airline-specific content in a way such that when you receive a subsequent revision from the OEM, you are able to dovetail the airline-specific content into it without clobbering the OEM content.
Yeah. So the moment that you've started to make customizations, you have this challenge of continuously then reconciling it with the OEM's manufacturer's revisions.
Absolutely.
Yeah, right.
And
Yeah.
you always want to reconcile the OEM revisions, and then you want to reconcile them against the customized content you've generated, and to decide what should persist. Should the new revision content persist? Should the old revision remain with your airline-specific content? Or should you create, with a subject matter expert, yet a unique change that would be the airline-specific version that you're going to publish to the mechanics and back up to the planners for planning the work packages.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah. So if you have the ability to be able to create this customized content and to be able to save it in a structured kind of a format and to be able to manage that and manage revisions, then I guess it's setting you up going into the future to be able to have a much more optimized environment for the work that you're performing, to be able to customize it and as you're going forward and looking at how you reduce cost and how you reduce manpower and the execution kind of capability. So what you're saying is that the structured data really provides you with the foundational capability, having the ability to create custom content and manage it in a system in a format which is easily reused in a structured data and has real intelligence. It gives you the ability to use that in the execution of that work.
Yeah, I want to put a footnote on structured data as well.
Okay.
And that's the philosophy behind XML. And that is, information has content, it has structure, and it has format. Those are three dimensions. And
structure, format, and content.
Yeah. Okay. So by having the content and the structure and the content separate from format is very, very critical. What it allows you to do over time is to revise the content, adhering to the structure, and over time to be able to deploy the same content and structure to different front ends, from browsers to mobility platforms to and so on, without having to rethink or reformat or whatever the original content. And that has terrific efficiency.
So that reuse then really starts to become powerful. So it's intelligent content, which is then reused.
Yeah, you touched on a very good point, actually, which is, you said intelligent content, and we'll get to it perhaps in a minute, and that is the ability of not just deliver information, but to also capture information at the point of delivery and bring it back, and we'll elaborate.
Yeah.
So in a perfect world, you would have manufacturers sending only HTML or XML data, and all the airlines or MROs will be doing their own custom authoring in XML, and everything will be peachy. But that's just not reality. Airlines in particular have invested a terrific amount of in-house authoring in their supplements, their amendments, their technical orders, their job cards, and they've done it with the tools they have. Some use Word, some use FrameMaker, some have some discipline on how they enforce structure, some don't. You see content that looks the same when you print it. When you look at the source, it's been generated through all sorts of variations that those, one of the biggest problems is that what you see with what you get application. Right? When what you see and what you get has the opportunity to print on paper things that in their source have very, very different ways on how they were being created. And depending on the discipline that's gone into that authoring, you have challenges and opportunities on how you can ultimately migrate that content to XML. But the starting point inevitably tends to be, an airline that realizes that the fleets that they're using have available XML content from the OEM. If they subscribe to those services, what will they do with their own content? They're in no way going to abandon it overnight, and they're in no way necessarily to convert it all at once. So you require a process where somehow you dovetail OEM content that starts coming in structured format with legacy content that is available with source applications and most likely in PDF. You need to dovetail those two for starters. and over time come up with a strategy of what makes sense to convert to, let's say, XML and what doesn't, and execute that strategy. So ultimately, you end up in an environment where the OEM content comes in structured, and the locally authored content is being created, structured, and they dovetail much more smoothly.
Yeah, yeah.
By the way, there are OEMs that still, while they're issuing their main revisions in HTML, let's say, they issue their TRs in PDF. So you have to dovetail that in a similar manner.
Yeah. So I was in some meetings yesterday, and there was some airlines in the meetings yesterday, and everybody's on a different journey. Okay, everybody is at a different place in their journey. Some people are early on in their journey, and what I mean by that, in their digital transformation journey. So they're just looking at how do we put certain systems in place, and there are people that have very advanced systems that have been in for quite some time, and they're enhancing their system. So there's a really big difference. And so let me just ask you this question: is that if you're an airline who's maybe at a place in your journey where you're saying, we've been doing customizations to our manuals, and we really need to optimize that. Where do they start? I mean, what is really the place for them to start today? How do they really take the next step?
Well, I believe they should start with their fleet strategy. If they have a committed fleet strategy and they have aircraft that they will retire over the short term, they tend to be the aircraft of older generation, and they may not be available from the OEM with structured content. So they need to deal with that content in PDF form, still better than just receiving the PDF revision from the OEMs. There are tools available that can assist them in managing those revisions in PDF and sort of comparing them to their internal investments and in authoring, and then generating the content that they need for executing the maintenance production.
So they examine their fleet strategy. That's a good thing. Okay.
Then they look at what is their replacement strategy. Typically, all contemporary aircraft that are being sold or announced are coming with iSpec 2200 or S1000D based digital content.
Okay, so we moved from PDF on the older aircraft to really
iSpec 2200.
iSpec 2200, and in the future S1000D.
S1000D for the newer aircraft.
Right. Okay. All right.
So the manufacturers have digital data services along those lines.
Yep. And so that airline has evaluated their fleet strategy. They're looking at what data might be available, to them. Now what? What's next?
Well, then they need to also take inventory of all their in-house authored content, okay, and decide which content can stay as is where it is, versus which content is strategic that needs to be preserved, not just initially in its PDF form, but to be converted to XML.
We're back live. It looks like for a moment there, we're at the show and we lost our internet, and we're back online again. So let's jump right back in again. So
yeah, I was saying that they also need to look at how their current MRO system is dealing with the issue of dovetailing $10 work packages and compliance.
Okay, so we've said you need to look at your fleet, you need to look at your data that's available, you need to look at your customizations you're doing, your conversion strategy, and looking at your MRO system and how then they work together, right? And so those things put together give you a capability to be able to deliver much more intelligent content.
And there may also, if they have an MRO system that they have implemented recently, they're highly likely to be keeping that MRO system.
Right.
Some people also tend to have a legacy MRO system. in that environment. And they need to then decide if they will indeed keep it or whether they're also contemplating an MRO system.
Okay, excellent. All right. Okay, well, this has been a really good conversation, and like I said, we're here live at the Aircraft Commerce Aircraft IT show down in Miami, going today and tomorrow. And I wanted to thank Thanos, CEO of Aerosoft, here to share this interesting content with us. And we're going to be sharing some more live sessions over the next couple of days here on LinkedIn, YouTube, and on Facebook. And so, stay tuned, and we'll try to give you a little bit more information as the show goes on. Fair winds and following seas to you. Have a great day. Thank you, Thanos, very much. I appreciate it.